John, you and I talk so much about the economy, especially in the upper Middle West, and about how the economic news that's out there is going to potentially change this election. Having this news from the Fed today, a half a percentage point, and an indication that they're going to do more in the future, what's that going to mean in the voting booth? John Nichols.
Remember, people don't understand the Fed, and that's an important thing to state up front. Most Americans know it exists, they know it does stuff, but they don't have a deep understanding of it. This is something Bernie Sanders has talked about for a long time, that there needs to be a much deeper comprehension of how it works, what its impact is, et cetera. But they do understand the impact of what the Fed does. And if there is a rapid shift in where many of the aspects of life that people feel comes into play, and that's sort of a reducing of interest rates, things like that, it can have an impact. But what I would really suggest to you is that this opens up a remarkable moment in our political history, especially in the upper Midwest, and that is for the narrative. Who gets to define what's going on? Donald Trump will say this is being done because the economy is in bad shape and something horrible is happening, and so the Fed had to intervene. Kamala Harris has a challenge here, in fact, a political duty, if you will, to counter that narrative with an argument that actually exactly what worked during the Biden administration is now still in play, i.e. that the Fed has pulled back and jumped in at different points where it seemed to make sense. And the federal government has, worked with them to the extent that they can, these obviously being separate entities. And so each of these candidates have a challenge to talk about this in a way that defines it and makes it understandable for the average voter. And for Trump, we know where he will go. For Biden or for Harris, this is a great challenge and an important one at this point.
We just got some news, John. This is for you on the Teamsters. They will not be endorsing a U.S. president. Not doing it this year.
Yep.
What's your reaction?
Well, that looked to be where they were going. And here's the complexity. The Teamsters are very divided. They released polling this afternoon that showed a substantial portion of their members, a majority of their members in survey research, like Trump over Harris. They had some surveys from earlier that had folks liking Biden over Trump. So it's sort of a complex mixed picture. But at the heart of it is that there is a significant level of support within the Teamsters Union for Donald Trump. At the same time, there are sectors of that union, including locals around the country, one in North Florida, or one in South Florida, I apologize, another big unit in Michigan, that have indicated that they really want to back the Democrats in this race. And so in this divided circumstance, the Teamsters have chosen to stand down, right? And what you're now going to see is a very interesting competition around the country for Teamsters units, right? For these members of the union. It isn't like the Teamsters go out of play here. What happens is now there's going to be a lot of listening to what leaders of the union, local leaders and others have to say in places like Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, because this is a very big union. It has a lot of diversity within it, and it's significant. One bottom line, though, this is a tough one for Harris because the Teamsters did back Biden. They have tended in recent cycles to back Democrats, and she had made a final play just this week to try and get their endorsement. So she would have liked this very much. What she got is the second best option, which is they didn't endorse Trump, but they also didn't endorse anybody else.
Yeah, all right. Let me ask you about the economy, John Della Volpe, and the polling on this. There's new polling from the Financial Times, FT, regarding those who watch the debate and how they feel about Kamala Harris on economic issues. And they're now feeling pretty good. 44% of registered voters, these are ones who watch the debate, I believe, say that they trust her to handle the economy, compared to 42% who would pick Donald Trump. And this goes into, I think, something that we have a part of a soundbite, not the full soundbite on. Donald Trump was at a town hall the other day, and he was asked by a woman at the town hall. She said she's a mom of 3, a grandmother to 7, and she's got 3 great grandkids. She's a registered nurse and retired now. She says, I know the cost that goes into raising children and running a household. People just can't survive. How are you going to bring down the cost of food and groceries. Here's part of what he said to her.
The economy is now not good, and interest rates, you'll see they'll do the rate cut and all the political stuff tomorrow, I think. And, will he do a half a point? Will he do a quarter of a point? But the reason is because the economy is not good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do it.
So, again, he was asked, how are you going to bring down the cost of food and groceries? That was part of it. The rest of the answer talks about energy, talks about energy bills. It talks again about interest rates. He doesn't get to the cost of groceries. He doesn't get to the cost of food in answering this woman's question in a town hall. A very specific question. Didn't go anywhere near what she was asking. Is it that the people who are watching Donald Trump when he answers questions on the economy, like he did in the debate, are finding him just not to make any sense?
Well, listen, Katie, I think that number that you just showed is one of the single worst polling responses I've seen about Donald Trump in a very long time. If he is losing to Kamala Harris on the economy, I'm not sure where else he goes. It is clearly the number one issue in this country. It is the number one issue among the undecided voters that I talk to on a regular basis. And what they're looking for is some sense of stability in their lives. That is what I think this interest rate cut could mean if it's messaged properly. This is something that has an opportunity to boost young people, to boost families, to boost businesses. It is a significant advantage for Harris if she runs with that. She's already leading on a variety of other critically important issues like healthcare, like climate, like vision for the future, and obviously temperament, trust, and ways in which you can communicate. So this is, making that progress in the economy is very, very significant for her. When I talk to young people, especially younger people who are the most undecided in this electorate, in this election, what they tell me is every day they wake up hoping to survive, hoping to keep a roof over their head. The idea of an American dream of a new house is something that's quite distant. And the idea of this potentially stabilizing their economic situation, their political situation, could go a long way in the final few weeks of this campaign.